Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing our first Q&A for this week, leading up to Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 4. First question for this one is going to be, do we think that Cersei is going to choose Euron or Jaime? Oh man, so spoiler warning if you guys have not seen episode 3 yet for Game of Thrones Season 7. Just another fantastic episode. These first few episodes of Game of Thrones Season 7 have been amazing. Sad that we're only going to get 7 of them, but at this pacing without any filler, I appreciate it because it's like you're getting all substance. You're not really getting any extra kind of stuff that you didn't really want to see or you didn't need to see in order to complete this story with us only having, about a season and a half left at this point. So the first question for this one is, what do we think is going to happen with Cersei romantically, I suppose, or what's going to happen with this situation? Because, of course, Cersei has promised herself to Euron if they win this battle, if they win this war. So that's a pretty big if. If they beat Daenerys, if they beat all of their enemies. So far, they've been doing a damn good job. The other Greyjoys have been neutralized. The Tyrells have been neutralized. The Dornish, the Sand Snakes have been taken down. I mean, they have so far flawless victory, for the Lannisters this season, and even from the back part of season 6, when Cersei kind of came back with a vengeance after the High Sparrow and everything. So with this one, this is tricky. We'll have to see if it gets to the point where, this actually happens and they actually win. First of all, I don't think they're going to win. I don't think they're going to beat Daenerys, overall, because of course you got the dragons, you got, them getting ready. You have Jon, who is joining forces with her. We'll have to see if Daenerys can talk Jon into marching south to help her first and then deal with the Night's King afterwards, because of course if Cersei is still alive and the Night's King marches or crosses the wall, it's going to be really bad, because then, of course, you kind of have to fight a battle on both fronts. I don't think Cersei would ever help the North, against the dead at all. If anything, she'd probably stab him in the back while they're fighting. So, maybe Daenerys can talk him into that, and I'm hoping Daenerys does win, so I don't think we'll get to this point right here for the discussion. But we'll have to see with Game of Thrones, because with Game of Thrones, you can kind of expect the unexpected. Going into this season, it seemed like Cersei and Jaime were screwed. It looked like they had just about no allies. We predicted that Euron might join with them because it made sense. But we didn't think about the Tarleys. Randall, we didn't think about him joining because he just kind of wasn't one of those characters that you probably would think. And everybody else hated them and kind of all joined up together. But they, just through being very clever and ruthless, have really, just been taking it to Daenerys so far with these last couple episodes. I do think things will turn around, and I do think that Daenerys will defeat Cersei at some point, probably near the end of this season. But God, we're going to have to see how that goes down. If she doesn't, it's going to be one of the biggest upsets, I want to say, in history of television, for sure. I mean, if Cersei was to beat Daenerys, it'd be crazy. So given that, let's say it comes down to it, where Euron starts asking for a little bit more because the battle's raging and he's a freaking psycho and kind of nasty and everything. Him and Jaime are going to go at it. It's what it is. Is Jaime going to allow? He allowed this to happen with Robert. Now that he's a grown man, he's older and everything. He's more experienced. He's more badass probably than his younger self. Maybe not quite as good because he only has one hand, but still, is he going to allow Euron to be with Cersei? I don't think he's going to allow it at all. I can't see it. From what we're seeing so far and the lines Euron's been saying to Jaime, talking about certain holes and stuff like this, I don't think Jaime's going to go for this. I don't think this is going to work. So if it comes down to it, who would Cersei choose? And this is the answer that I thought of, or this is what I would come up with, is I think she personally will choose not who she likes more, because obviously she loves Jaime. She's willing to bend the knee for him, right? She loves Jaime. It's her brother and everything. But I would say at this point, I think Cersei is so cold, so like freaking, true north, north of the north, wildling cold, that I think she would go with whoever is probably most advantageous for her to be with, given the situation. And I mean by that is this. Emotions aside, obviously she'd go with Jaime, and it seems like she's setting up Euron here. From Jaime's perspective, he's like, oh yeah, you promised this guy whatever, and then if you win the battle, you kill the guy or whatever. That is probably what Jaime's thinking, and that might be what a lot of the audience is thinking. But I actually think that Cersei is so stone cold at this point that she might actually take Euron if she thinks that he is more powerful, as an ally. If she thinks that he is more useful to her than Jaime could be at this time. If she feels like she no longer needs Jaime, she may turn on him, and she may actually go with Euron, because that's just the way I see Cersei after everything she's been through and all of that. Even though she loves Jaime and everything, I really do think that she probably would go with Euron if it meant, to greater her power. So if she felt like she was more powerful with Euron and she could stand him, then she might actually go with him. But I mean, generally overall, going with Jaime is, like what's been happening so far. We'll see that. So we'll see if maybe we could see some kind of twist with regards to that and kind of see the unexpected from Jaime's perspective. Him give her everything. And Olenna, part of why I'm doing this video now, I want to discuss this with you guys, leave your comments below, is because of Olenna's warning to him as she's killed, right? When she's dying, some of her last words are telling him that she's a disease, she's a monster, and she's going to be the end of you. Right? So for me to hear that, it's kind of like, and the way that she told Daenerys beforehand, exactly what she said had come to fruition. She has to be a dragon. It's just like, yeah, maybe what she's saying will happen, and Cersei will be the end of Jaime, and actually Cersei would go with Euron instead if it's advantageous to her and for her control and her power over the realm. So let me know what you guys think about this one here. Do you agree with me that Cersei's kind of she's kind of that detached and that obsessed with power and control that she would give up the man she loves, her own flesh and blood, just for power? Do you think she would do that, or do you think she would go with Jaime? Given everything you've seen with her in the series, of course. So write those comments below. Let me know what you guys think about that one, and send me other questions, of course, for Q&As. I'll have another video probably for you guys tomorrow for Game of Thrones. The next one is from MilkmanC Mannn, who says, Tyrell with the final blow. LOL, thought she picked that cup up super quick. And I agree too, because I think she did it because she's just had enough. You know what I mean? She wants out of this game. She's done. She's old. She's seen everybody die. She probably doesn't even want to see this shit that she's seen. Marjorie, that was probably the last straw. After that, she probably stopped caring. Now that, the Lannisters are on her doorstep and they've, taken everything from her, she doesn't want to see this shit anymore. And that's one thing about Game of Thrones that I'd say it taught me, is that really there are worse things than death. And Laria Sand is going to find that out, I think, in the next season and a half, until hopefully somebody rescues her. If not, then she'll just rot in a dungeon. But yeah, it's so true. She's done with this shit. She's like, you know what, I'm out of here, right away. But before I go, I just got to say a couple words, a few last words, right? F you is one of them, by telling him about Joffrey. So I did like that one a lot, man. And she's one of my maybe favorite characters, unexpectedly, possibly one of my favorite characters from the whole series. I just thought that Olenna was a great character. She was really cool. She did a lot of good for everybody. And I think I don't know if she underestimated Cersei, but she probably thought nobody can be that wicked and that evil to do what Cersei does. And, even she probably was surprised by how evil and just how conniving Cersei is. Chris Torrano says, poor Jorah, bro. He's probably going to return to Daenerys in a few episodes, and she'll be in love with Jon, and we'll have completely forgotten about him. So for Chris. So I don't know, man. Maybe I can do a video on that this week. You guys can write those comments below as well, too. Do you want to see Daenerys and Jon together as like a couple? Would you want to see that, or do you think it just doesn't work? Of course, because of his background and that, it's a little weird. I've done videos on it before. It's a bit weird. But then again, we see this kind of stuff with Lannisters all the time. And Targaryen, I believe, they're into that kind of stuff. They do that quite a bit. So it's a bit weird. But yeah, anyway, and I wouldn't think, well, same, well, anyway, it's a bit weird. So anyway, you guys write those comments below on that one, on who you want to see. But, you know, I think with Jorah returning, I don't know if she would be with Jorah romantically, but she'd probably be very happy to see him. And, you know, he'd probably be one of her most respected and closest, you know, fighters. Jordan Emmett says, do you guys think Bronn will save the remaining Sand Snakes? So, bro, I don't think so at this point for Jordan. I don't think he's got any ability to do that. Even if he wanted to, I don't see it. I mean, he's off with Jaime, and she's already been poisoned. She probably doesn't have much time. For Illyria, no, I don't think he's going to risk his own skin like that, because he's not stupid either. Even if he wanted to, I don't think he can. Emmy Edgy Clem, one says... Tyrion said The Walking Dead to Jon Snow. It's kind of cool. And yeah, that is kind of cool. I did like that as well, too. At least the mention of the White Walkers is Walking Dead type of thing. So that was kind of cool. Lucas Taylor says, I'd rather see the Walkers win than Daenerys. She's insufferable. And, you know, I got that as well, too, this season, more so than I would have thought. You know, everybody was kind of for Daenerys, I think, before the season started. It could just be the way they're kind of writing her, and they might be doing it on purpose. They might be doing it, you know, writing her kind of like she's an entitled brat, whereas you have Jon, who's been literally stabbed in the heart and all this stuff. He's been through so much, and so many of the others. She's suffered a lot, too, though. Daenerys has suffered a lot. We've seen a lot of that as well, too. You know, rape and losing Khal Drogo, and all the other stuff. She's been through a lot, being sold and shit like this. So she's been through a tremendous amount. But, you know, she kind of comes across as saying, like, I am Daenerys, I'm Targaryen, so you have to bend the knee to me, you know, and I just met you. I'm the queen, everything, yada, yada, yada. So, you know, it's kind of, I don't want to say it kind of goes against what I would think, but I would view her as a little bit more open and a little bit more welcoming to people that she's going to possibly ally with. At this point, I think she's going to start to be a lot nicer to Jon, I would think, because she's lost all her other allies, and, you know, it's not looking good right now for her. Aside from, you know, pulling her trump card and using the dragons. Yeah, things have just been not going good for her so far. So I'm not sure if they're doing that on purpose. I really hope they're not trying to make the fans kind of dislike Daenerys and then have her lose, because I would just be super pissed if that was the case. So prepare to be either very happy at the end of the season or extremely, extremely disappointed if Daenerys loses. Friend with Benefits says, the Greyjoy contingent gone. The Dornish contingent gone. The Unsullied neutralized. The Tyrells gone. Who's left? The Dothraki. So yeah, it's not looking good so far with how this battle's been going. Tyrion, unfortunately, all of his plans have kind of been sort of seen by Cersei or countered already. So yeah, it's really not going good. The Dothraki are very strong, though. You know, they're very, very strong. Especially Robert named them as being very powerful in the field. So, you know, and not wanting to fight the Dothraki in the field. So that's something right there. You know, the Unsullied will come back. You know, Grey Worm, they'll come back. They'll be fine, I think, majority of them. And then as far as, you know, the North, of course, the North is very strong by itself, though. You know, with Jon having united everybody up there and the Vale being involved now and you know, Littlefinger. And it seems like Littlefinger is on their side still. We'll have to see what he does. You know, but I really would like to see them all just be like, you know, White Walkers are coming, but let's just go south for a while. Take care of this, and then we'll come back and deal with the White Walkers afterwards. So we'll see what happens with all of that. You know, I think it's natural, though, right? Because in terms of story, at the beginning of the season, you would not want to see Daenerys wipe them out and then have the rest of the season be what? You know, nothing, like take the throne right away. So, and it makes sense that, you know, it might appeal to her morality and empathy not to just smash everything in King's Landing and take it, right, with the dragons and everything. So it makes sense she would do what she did. I guess it was fairly natural for her to decide to go along with Tyrion's way, doing things, and be a bit tricky. But certainly it has backfired quite a bit, trying to fight these little skirmishes in a land that she's not familiar with allies that she's not familiar with in terms of their power and their position. Then we've got Lobster Pooch, who says, talking point, Trev. Jon says, I'm no Stark. Dragon flies over right after. So that was kind of cool, man. I did like that as well, too. That was good. I was half expecting part of the episode to see one of them land and be like, and take a look at him or something, sniff him. That would have been cool, like, you know, sniff him and then have Jon, like, look at the thing, be like, oh my God, it's a freaking dragon. The overhead thing was fine, too. And CG costs a lot of money. It takes a long time to do. So for now, that might be the best we get. But I'm really intrigued to see this allied thing between Jon and Daenerys and just how this ends up. I'd like to see the two of them maybe together in the end or something like that, either allies or whatever. You know, that'd be really cool. Megan Bell Humor says, Jon Snow didn't bend the knee, but Cersei did. That's true. Last one will be from Sminsky, who says, Queen and Dragon, Breaker of Chains, etc., etc. And then this is Jon Snow, right? The Onion Knight. So that was fun. I really liked Davos and his, you know, his line there. It's just so great. You know, it's just tongue-in-cheek for sure. So that'll be it for today's Q&A, guys. If you missed the videos last night, if you missed my review for episode 3, you gotta watch it. If you missed my predictions for episode 4, you gotta watch it. It's in the channel. Check it out. It'll be in the end screen video credits here. And if you like this video, don't forget to thumb it up below. You can share, you can favorite. And if you're new and you want to subscribe, you want to see more Game of Thrones videos, maybe tomorrow, send me a question and subscribe at the bottom left. That's it for this one, guys. See you again soon for another video. It's Trev. I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See ya.